Rain smothered the city's roar, but inside his cramped room, a shadow whispered doubts that no light could ever silence. The night held its breath, a suffocating clasp wrapped in cold, wet fingers where rain didn't fall but seeped into the bones of the city, blurring steel and glass into a trembling river of fractured colors beneath a bruised sky. Inside my tiny apartment, the stale air hung like damp cloth pressed tight against my skin, its mustiness mixing with the faint, acrid tang of burnt coffee long cold on my cluttered desk. A single bulb overhead flickered in a desperate struggle, throwing fractured light that danced like dying fireflies in the dark corners where shadows gathered like whispered secrets. Beyond the single-pane window, those towering glass monoliths stood sentinel, their jagged reflections slicing through my solitude, each pane a cracked mirror reflecting a loneliness amplified and refracted into endless infinity. A chill found its way in, a slick, clammy draft that slipped beneath my shirt like a spectral finger, sharp as rusted metal and colder than forgotten graves. But this cold was nothing compared to the tightening spiral of dread coiling in my chest. I shifted, the squeak of my chair scraping thin against the floorboards magnified by the pressing silence. My gaze fell to the wall behind me, and there it was, a silhouette stretched impossibly long, defying the logic of light and form. At first, I blamed exhaustion, a trick of my weary eyes blurring shapes as the rain drummed a ceaseless tattoo against the window. But the shadow remained stubborn, an aberration crawling at the edge of vision, languid and wrong, dissolving not when I moved but stretching, lingering like a slow poison pooling beneath my skin. Unease hummed, thick and tangible, like the constant rain whose rhythm became a metronome for my creeping terror. Is it just me, or is that shadow wrong? I whispered aloud, voice cracking like a fragile thread snapping in the void. The answer was silence, save for the rain's endless tapping, a heartbeat that mocked my solitude, pressing closer, tighter. The city's distant murmurs faded into numb static beneath the rain's relentless cascade. The shadow pulsated on the wall, breathing with its own cruel rhythm, expanding and contracting in unnatural waves as the frail bulb sputtered beneath the weight of the dark. When I shifted, it hesitated, then curled downward slowly, long fingers clawing toward the floor as if reaching for me through the barrier of light and shadow. My heart slammed against ribs in a frantic drumbeat. "You're imagining it," I repeated, fumbling desperately for my desk lamp. The harsh electric glow sliced through the gloom like a knife, but the shadow only shrank to a stubborn smear, fading yet refusing surrender. Hours crawled, stripped bare by sleepless torment where eyes darted and breaths grew shallow under the oppressive gaze of that impossible presence. The edges sharpened, contouring into a grotesque silhouette carved from the marrow of fear itself. Tentatively, I reached out, fingers trembling like the last leaf trembling in a dying wind, and the shadow recoiled, slipping away before dissolving into the folds of darkness beyond reach, teasing with the malicious patience that eroded the borders between mind and madness. Was the unraveling thread of my sanity bare before me? Or did something older, darker lurk beyond, watching from the folds of the blurred cityscape? I asked aloud, voice trembling, "What do you want from me?" The only reply came from the rain's steady drip, a cold, viscous cadence leaking through the window frame like a slow hiss in the sewer pipes beneath the city. Then, beneath that, faint murmurs unfurled, soft, breathy voices curling like smoke in the periphery of hearing, impossible to grasp, riddles cast in shadows no light could illuminate. Trick of the rain, or cruel whispers stirred by the city's own heart, feeding on the fraying edges of my mind. The voices planted seeds of doubt, creeping roots that tangled my thoughts, twisting nightmarish suspicion. Was I truly alone, or had this shadow become both companion and captor, a warped reflection of my own crumbling self? My broken reflection caught in the cracked mirror across the room, fractured by flickering streetlight, distorted beyond recognition, stared back like a stranger carved from nightmare. The apartment closed in, walls bending, folding inward as the shadow stretched wider, pressing its cold shape against the fragile membrane of my sanity, each breath now a battle, each blink a struggle to hold reality from dissolving into darkness. I tore the blinds aside in a reckless surge, exposing the city's indifferent flood of neon lights and rain-slick streets, soulless rivers flowing beneath towering concrete tombstones. The shadow fled, swallowed by the sterile, artificial incandescence. Relief surged, a brittle flame that flared then sputtered in my chest, but the moment folded cruelly. A sudden chill brushed the nape of my neck, icy and deliberate. There it was, no longer a warped mark upon the wall, but standing beyond sight's edge. A darkness deeper than the room's consumed corners, silent and watching. My heart hammered a frantic tattoo as I spun, breath rasping, but found only empty air swollen with the oppressive weight of solitude transformed into menace. The silence seized me, tightening like a noose, whispering a terrifying truth. This was never merely a shadow shaped by light. It was the fractured ghost of my unraveling mind, a sinister echo hurled forth from the deepest fissures of loneliness and paranoia. Outside, skyscrapers loomed through fog like forgotten graves, their countless windows in different eyes casting cold judgment on a man suffocating beneath his own fear, a man who no longer trusted the fractured reflections staring back from cracked glass. The rain fell relentless, cold as judgment passed without mercy. And there, in the dim, flickering gloom, the shadow stayed, patient, immovable, a silent promise that some darkness is not born from the night, but seeded deep within, never fully chased away by flickers of borrowed light. Did the shadows reach into your own corners tonight? Share your whispers and secrets below, and subscribe to step deeper into the shadows where reality begins to unravel.